go live.
Mayor's gonna.
He's in Scott's office right now.
Okay, because I was gonna tell
He's gonna have
to
them all
give me
around.
time to take photos.
Yeah. So after the presentations, tell them.
They're gonna do
I would
them all
tell
at the
them.
same
I'm gonna
time.
tell them stand beside each other, hold the thing
Yeah.
so I can see it.
They're gonna do them all at the same time.
How you doing, Heidi? Congratulations, first night. Good, good.
How's your new position going at the airport?
Good. Thanks for the camera.
Yeah.
The camera. Which camera? Okay, so they can see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My boss will be like, she's the boss.
Yeah, she's keeping me honest.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that's working out for Faith. I'm glad to hear it's working out for you. So, very cool. Do you miss this a little bit though? Or you like trying not to
I do.
cover?
Well, it's hard for me. It was hard for me not to just come over here and hover like. All right, is it correct?
Get away,
Is it-
Dickie.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. See, I want to. But that's always. I'll always want to just double check and check. Lights on, mics on. I already checked the mic.
I thought she was gonna come tell me something. I'm like, no. I'm like,
So now all you gotta do is hit transition.
Yep. Dance at one night yet. Wait till he just keep an eye on
Soon
him,
as he-
and
when he
whenever
gets
he's
ready
ready
to
to
cut the
start,
gavel,
then
Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. I'll be used to work for me. You hear me? I'll be used to work for me.
right.
I'll work with me and Butcher Brothers.
There's some people looking for the live link and it's not recently posted. For the city of Cleveland.
For the city of Cleveland, I mean, we do it. It should be on there.
Right, is there a live link for tonight's meeting like posted in the last hour or so?
No, it would be from Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can share that out.
I don't have access to the Facebook page. Do you?
Oh, the Facebook page?
Yeah.
Oh, no. That automatically posts. That's
Yeah,
automatic.
they'll have to go in there and scroll.
Yeah.
Right, so maybe we can set it to where it also links the day of so they find it. Repost it.
No, Civic Plus does that, and we're not due for a redesign until 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already called
Pretty
them.
sure we have.
Yeah, because I can't get the picture changed either. It just shows 05 calendar. I'm trying to get that changed as well. But it's all hardwired in.
Yeah.
And so we can't repost, we can't set when it posts.
I know they do. It's a certain time that they post it.
Yeah, it's probably not on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She sent that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll go ahead and start this meeting tonight at 5:59. We do have a quorum tonight. First, we'll have our invocation. If everyone could please stand for that. Oh, Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you right now. Thank you for everything that you're doing, Lord God. We ask you to continue watching over the city of Cleveland, Lord God. Lord, we ask you to touch these great minds as they work together to make this city better, Lord God, and we can build up many different things. And we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen, amen.
Amen.
We have our American flag done by Mr. McWater.
If everybody can please face the American flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have our Texas flag done by Mr. Julius Butler.
Texas flag, I honor the
Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one stand, under God, one and indivisible.
Alrighty. Good evening to everyone out there. Hope everyone's doing good. Next on our agenda, we'll move up to item number 2, appreciation presentation for outgoing EDC members. First, we will start with Ms. Darlene Davis. Ms. Darlene, if you can come up to the front, please. Ms. Darlene, on behalf of the Cleveland EDC Economic Development Board, we would like to thank you for your service and all your commitment to this board. We ask you to continue being with the city of Cleveland and thank you for your 2 years of service with the Economic Development Board. Thank you. Here you go. Is there any word you'd like to say, Ms. Darlene?
Yes, I would like to thank the team that I had the honor of working with. And I can say the members that sat here last month in 2023, the last meeting that we had, we were a team. We worked together, we got things accomplished, we were on the same page because what made it so beautiful, we were concerned and the only thing on our mind was the city of Cleveland and the people that reside in the city of Cleveland. It was an honor serving with them. Thank you.
Next we have Ms. Merlin Clay. Hello. We would like to thank you, Ms. Merlin Clay, on behalf of the Cleveland Economic Development Board. We want to thank you for your service and your dedication to this board and all that you have done. And we'd like to appreciate you for your 6 years of service on the Economic Development Board. Would you like to have a few words?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it was more than 6 years. I was 6 years under cancer. That's okay, that's okay.
I read what they gave you now.
Almost approximately 8, I guess you could say. And I realized my time had exceeded, but at the time, we didn't have a lot of people that was really willing and wanting to work on our EDC board. So I continued to work on the EDC board. I got a chance to know a lot of people, got a chance to meet a lot of people, and I think there was a lot of things accomplished. And I think a lot of people don't understand how economic development works. Things don't happen overnight. And there's a lot that goes into it. And one of the main things is the infrastructure. And if you don't have site-ready properties, you don't get that development to start and boom, just overnight. So there's a lot of things to do. So I think every board that I have worked with, I think the people had an interest of Cleveland. But I'm beginning to see some going backwards. You go forward, and all of a sudden, you hit neutral. We're going backwards. And we're not here to fight against one another. We are here to fight together to get things accomplished. But I see a lot of things, and I'm going to call it out like I see it. I see racism, I see prejudice, and I see self-motivation. And it's happening. It's happening. And you have to get those terms in line, because when I say racism, there can be a lot of things involved in it. When I say prejudice, there can be a lot of things involved in it. It don't always have to do with skin color. But we have to realize we have to work together. And if you don't work together to get these things accomplished, you're going to be the same old Cleveland everybody has already visioned you to be. You have to come in with a vision. And if you don't have a vision for the city of Cleveland, I've been here 30 plus years. I'm not originally from Cleveland, but I've been here 30 plus years. And I have seen a lot of things happen. I have seen things fought for so long. Again, like that overpass over there. It took a long time for that. And Mr. Anderson and a whole lot of people, I believe Mr. Terrell was there, a whole lot of people, they fought very hard for that because TxDOT believed that we didn't have enough traffic coming through. They didn't want that overpass there. You have to continue to fight for the things that you want to accomplish. But you're fighting for the people of Cleveland, not your own personal gain. And that's what you need to realize. You're fighting for the people, the betterment of the people of Cleveland. And I just hope the people that are coming on board, I hope you continue to fight for the better for the citizens of Cleveland. That's all I have.
And also tonight, Mr. Patrick Conklin, right? All right, say it right. Will not be able to attend the meeting tonight, but he did write a few words. Patrick wrote that he has enjoyed serving on the EDC board, currently in St. Marcus, attending 5 state boards. So we also would like to give a round of applause thanking him for his service.
Mr. President, I didn't say that I enjoyed working, but it was an honor to work with you.
Yes, ma'am. And also too, we would like to thank our former EDC director, Mr. Robert Rose, for his service, and hopefully he enjoys his retirement. Okay, item number 3, we will now have our mayor, Mr. Danny Lee, come up and do our oath of office for new members appointed by the city council.
Okay, Heidi, Michael Buckley, and Jonathan. Okay. Okay, what I'm gonna do, all 3 of you can come up at one time together. And I'm gonna swear you guys in, all together. But the first sentence, I'm gonna ask you individually. And after the first sentence, we're going to do it in concert, okay? So,
some big hands. What's a small hand?
y'all put your hands on behind. Okay. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I,
Heidi Souls.
John Wood.
Michael Booker. Okay. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the Economic Development Corporation of the state of Texas, and will do to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the city of Cleveland and of the United States of America, so help me God.
I do.
I do. One more time.
I do.
Okay. Well, welcome to the EDC board. And, I just want to tell you guys, we got a lot of work to do. Okay, and I see a lot of positives that are going on in the city. present council that we have, you know, we have some good people working together. There's always change. You know, in the last year, there's change. And it's going to always be change. You know, but I feel like that, you know, even during the change, we got to find a way to work together through that change. Okay, now, I came tonight, my philosophy, I don't come to all the EDC board meetings. You know, I mean, this is y'all domain. If it's a problem or something, or if you need me to attend, you know, I support the EDC. You know, a lot of it's on TV. I mean, on the Facebook Live and all of that, you know, that's all there. And I know what's going on in the EDC, but I feel like if I have to stand over you guys' shoulder and watch y'all, and, you know, I might as well be on there. You know what I'm saying? So once again, Mike, hey man, I've been trying to get you a long time. And I ended up getting your son first. Glad you're here, man. Okay. John, welcome to Cleveland, man. Welcome to EDC. Howdy? All right. God bless you.
Can you take a picture of y'all with me, please? Thank you.
All right. Take care, man.
Well, come on up. Take your seats. And I did notice that Mr. Roscoe walked in, so we do have a quorum for the city council. All right. Well, we're up to item number 4, public comments. Any person with EDC-related business may speak to the board. In compliance with the Texas Opening Meeting Act, the EDC board may not discuss or vote on any matter raised in public comments unless it is specifically on the agenda. To speak during the EDC meeting, you must be recognized by the presiding officer. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and Ms. Alice will be on time. We will start with Ms. Victoria Good, and her topic will be chamber update.
Hi. I used to have a stool here. So yeah, my name is Victoria Good. In case you don't know me, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Greater Cleveland Chamber. I made it a goal this year to attend more EDC meetings so that I could give y'all an update of what we are doing and what events we have coming up so that you can attend. So we just had our board retreat last week, and that's our annual board meeting. And so I wanted to give y'all a recap of what we did last year. Last year we welcomed 54 new members. That was more members than we had the previous year. We have a total of 268 members. We have $78,000 in our reserve funds, which is great. And we also had over 25,000 member clicks. So 2 years ago when I started this position, one of my goals then was to update our website. And so by doing that, we have a beautiful website that has a great directory. So all of our members have a directory page, and so that 25,000 is when people Google a certain category in our area, say plumbing or electrician or whatever. It pulls up our directory, and then so that's how many people clicked on our directory pages on our website. So that is a huge achievement. And then I also just wanted to let you know some general things about the chamber. We host over 30 small and large events throughout the year. We have our monthly luncheon that happens every month except for January. That's at the Cleveland Civic Center. It's normally the first Thursday of the month, except for May because of the National Day of Prayer, and December because of Hometown Christmas. And we have our annual awards banquet coming up this Friday night. You can still get tickets if you would like to come. That's our annual fundraiser, and we also give out awards. And then our next luncheon is February 1st, and that's going to be our State of the Chamber. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gibb. Next, we have Mr. Fred Terrell on the topic of the airport pavilion.
My name is Fred Terrell. I'm a city councilman. And what I'm bringing up tonight is in one of your agenda items, the airport pavilion. And it was brought up, and it months ago. It was also brought up in council. The statement was that we would also do a pavilion at the airport. And I'm kind of responsible for that being stated. But the EDC board, as you said, have not voted on this. So I think it's on the agenda tonight, and there's nowhere on your budgets that calls out for a pavilion at the airport. But I would like for you to go ahead tonight and approve a project that would include a pavilion at the airport as an observation area. You don't know the size, you don't know the price, but you can do that with just approving it as a project with a allowance not to exceed, say, $50,000. But if you do that, you already start the financial people working on a way to get that money into your budget from the general fund. And then when you do finally know the size and the price, you're going to save a lot of time and having to wait for this to happen. And I just want to encourage you to do that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next on our public comment, Mr. Julius Buckley with communication.
Hey, Julius Buckley, council member, of course. Good evening, EDC board. Thank y'all for volunteering y'all's time, past and present. I know it takes time to do this. And I know it keeps getting brought up about the 80-20. I'm tired of it. I know y'all are tired of it. I just want y'all to know where I stood at it. The 80-20 was EDC director wanted to be more involved with city projects and doing city stuff, so that's where it came from. And I also felt that as a department head, since EDC is part of the city, the department head should report to the city manager so everybody can get updates on all the communication. I do hope we can move forward and we can all communicate much better. I know that's been an issue, and I hope that this continues to be a good thing for Cleveland. Thank y'all for y'all's time. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you. Up to item number 5, where it says reports and comments from the board and council regarding attendance of boards, commissions, social functions, conventions, workshops, ceremonial events, press conference, candidate forums, or similar events where no formal action was taken and discussion of public business. Consider other events. We will start with Mr. Michael Buckley. Do you have any comments, sir? Okay. Ms. Rachel, do you have any comments?
Yes. Thank you for everyone who is here tonight, everyone watching online, who will watch later online, for participating in your function, just like we're participating in ours. We appreciate the audience and the participation, being involved in your local community. Thank you to our former members who served, our former president, EDC director, and our members for their service. Welcome to our new members. Congratulations, especially to my neighbor here. Sorry, and congratulations. And then also, I do want to encourage more civic participation that I am talking about quite a bit lately, about registering to vote, updating your address if you've moved, talking to your neighbors about voting. There is a deadline to register to vote, and you have an election pretty quick around the corner in March 5th, Tuesday, March 5th, and lots of early voting. And having prior experience with this election thing, sometimes our city future is decided by about 300 people, and I feel like there should be more than that. So vote for whoever you want, just get out and vote. Let's hit 1,000, let's make it a goal. So please have a neighborhood walk, talk to people at your churches and your communities, at your school, and ask them if they vote or why they don't, if they know the people, and hopefully we'll see a forum coming out. I know there's one in Dayton. I don't know that Cleveland has one scheduled yet. But we have some important positions up in March and in May, so be prepared to vote and be informed, because it's your right, it's your obligation, but it is also your privilege.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Mr. Lee, you have any?
I'd like to just take a second and thank the city council and the mayor for the appointment to the EDC board. At least that's for now. I think Bernie might be out for a little bit, but also, something I'd like to see is I'd like to see a lot better communication with the city, the chamber, and EDC all the way around. Just I think that we have something really, really good in this city, and I think that if we had a little bit better communication, a little bit better participation between the chamber, the city council, city in general, and the EDC, I think we could get things done a lot smoother. Just my opinion, not saying correct, but I would like to to see that in the future. The other thing is we have a lot of agenda items on the agenda that are here for a long time. I understand city government very well. I know that government, the wheels turn very slow. If you don't know that, I think get used to it because it is extremely slow. But there's a lot of things that I think as a board that we can work together and get this stuff accomplished a little bit quicker. And I hope to see those in the future for sure. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Heidi, Sophia, any comments?
I just want to say that I'm thankful for this opportunity and look forward to being able to better serve the citizens of Cleveland. And just to kind of echo what Victoria said, our chamber banquet is this Friday, the 26th. It begins at 6 p.m. and it'll be great to see you all there. It's going to be a good time. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mr. McWhorter.
Yes, again, I want to echo, thank you so much. Really enjoyed serving with our outgoing members. I want to add, Ms. Marilyn, Mr. Erlene, Mr. Patrick, and also Nikki. Really enjoyed working with them. Wish them the best. I'm very excited about our new members. Thank y'all so much for signing up to serve. Looking forward to what we can all get accomplished this coming year. And I definitely want to echo what I've kind of heard here as a theme. I think communication is key. I think communication will serve us well as a community, as these various boards, these various functions, and then absolutely try to get, especially if there's issues or problems, let's talk about it, let's come to solutions, but also for the vision of where we're going. I think that's key, because if we're all working together to get to a destination, we get there quicker together.
Thank you, Mr. McWhorter. The only thing I would like to say tonight, I would like to thank our former members who are part of the EDC board. Also, too, I would like to welcome the new members. I hope that in the near future we can work together as a team. One thing that I could definitely say from being in the Cleveland city limits and being here in Cleveland, we can do better than what we do is working together. And one thing I try to tell the young people my age is get involved. Because you can sit at your house all day, you can sit in the restaurants, you can sit in the stores, wherever you want to be, and make all the comments you want about the city of Cleveland. But if you're not getting involved, then what are you doing? There's no excuses. Get involved, get your city to work together. And moving forward, I do hope that everybody can be on one page of working together. I want to thank, from my EDC director to our president to just the different other members who've been here in the past. I look forward again to working with everyone, and as I say, hopefully the city of Cleveland will be moving forward. And thank you for all you do. Up to consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered routine by the EDC board and will be attacked by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a board member requests an item to be removed or considered separately. Consideration and possible actions on the following items. Number 6, meeting minutes for December 27, 2023. Is there any comments or concerns on that? Nope. All right.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda item number 6 and 7.
Do we have a second? All right, we have Mr. Buckley with a second motion. All right, item number 7, monthly financial statement. Is there any comments or concerns from the board? Okay, do we have a motion?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we are. No, if I'm not mistaken, we are going to go over the financial statement here in a little bit, correct?
No, we can go over. We have this Tiffany interview.
Right. I think we're going to end up doing that. Is that correct or no?
With the budget comparison, sure, yeah, we can go over that.
That's on number, you're talking on item number 10?
Well, I think that's where we can put it.
Yeah.
We can do that at the same time, as long as we bring it back up to do that budget comparison.
Right. All right. Discussion and possible consideration on the following. Item number 8.
Did we go on the?
No, we need.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 6 and 7.
I'm sorry. I thought we moved. Sorry.
Creative motion.
Yeah. set.
If you want to discuss before you probably gotta do it.
Yeah, I think you have to do that one now before we move it to 10.
On number
10
7.
is a separate
That's on
one
number 7.
with the purchase.
Yeah, if you want to report on then you can approve item 6.
Right.
Pull item 7 and then discuss item 7.
Mhm.
Okay.
But you have an amended motion that's already active, correct?
Right.
You're gonna have to rephrase that.
Yeah.
Rephrase the motion to accept
Yeah.
item number 6.
Item number 6 will remove
And I'll
with
second.
item number 10, okay?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. Thank you. Okay, item number 8.
Let's go to vote.
Oh,
We
sorry.
have a motion and a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to get that. Okay, do we have the motion?
We had the motion and second, we just gotta call the vote.
Oh, okay.
Brett made a motion.
All in favor, I'm sorry. All in favor of voting for item number 6, say aye. All right, no opposed, thank you. Sorry. Okay, item number 8. 7. No, 7. We want to discuss. My bad. I'm sorry, I'm moving things around. My bad. Okay, y'all been in meetings all day. I'm sorry. Monthly financial statement. I'm sorry. Ms. Tiffany, if you don't mind, could you please take the vote? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Fulrod. I'm the account here in the finance department. Our finance director has provided you with the monthly financial statement. So if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer for you. And if I can't, I will find out the answer and I can either email them to you or you can schedule a meeting with Ms. Pamela Harrison.
Well, since we're discussing, I do have a question. It is on the, I call it the ad grants, but right after the key trends page, the line item budget, not the printout of like the banking cost, but on that first one where it says revenues for the city of Cleveland, budget versus actual. I think this is something, unless I'm missing it, I just recall in the prior budget set with the fiscal year, something about marketing, which was supposed to be 10% of the budget, right around 85,000. It's where we're supposed to pull out for the website that we approved last month. And what I don't see, unless I am not seeing it, is that line item for that expense for that website or the marketing. So is it under something else?
Are you looking at the monthly financial statement?
Yes, for the current budget, for what's currently approved in the budget per line item.
Okay.
So that was my question, is where that specific line item as far as marketing and website is at. Or if it's renamed under something else because it is not there. It also wasn't there last month when I said it wasn't quite adding up versus what was presented back with our fiscal year and why we moved forward with the website to begin with.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure why or where that line item is. I'm not familiar with the EDC budget currently, but Pam did try to prep me as well as she could. So let me make a note of that. So you just want to know where the marketing line item is and why it's not listed?
Correct, because that's what was passed for the fiscal year back when we had a whole day-long workshop about it, I believe. And I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, what we saw then is what we see now.
Okay.
And plus it's $85,000 and that's not a little bit of money.
Okay,
And
I did make a note.
And that line item for what?
Yeah, it came out, they were going to use some of that funding for the website, so it would have fallen.
It's not on here.
Right, it would have, yeah, it would have fallen under, like, as a subtitle of that marketing budget. At least that was my understanding.
So for item number 7, we would like to just table that.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to table item number 7.
Do we have a motion to table item number 7?
I made a motion to table that.
I'll second it.
Second motion.
Now, that budget, it could have changed the title, right? So I'm just looking for where
Right.
that was and where it
Yes,
went.
yeah, I'm not sure where she put it, but I did make a note to look into that for you. And then I can email you.
It's 5210-04-2720, which would be under other services.
But, yeah, but that current budget, other services, is significantly more than that 10%.
Well, it includes more than just it's marketing, holidays, website development, travel training, dues and telephone and internet, all that fall under 5210.
Right.
From 521004.
So maybe we could do like a subgroup so we can see, are we spending $80,000 on travel or $80,000 on a website? Because it would make a difference in how we spend our
Or
money.
just a breakout.
Yeah, the breakdown is what I'm talking about, like the
On subsections.
subgroup.
Yes.
So you just want to,
Yeah, well, so 10,000 was the prior year budget, that was increased within the marketing frame of the budget up to 85,000.
so you're just wanting to see that
On the
on
monthly.
financial statement?
Yeah, just on the monthly.
Okay, because we are,
No, we have it on there, but.
yeah. So we are going to start providing you with the detail listing, and that line item will be.
Okay, great, yeah. I guess, is it called the subset, or what would you call the subcategories? You know, like, for example, I always ask, what is other services? Like, what does that mean? And I feel like if we could include what that means, it would help us justify that price tag.
Okay, yeah, the other services, that's the line item description.
Right.
But on the detail listing that we're going to be providing to you guys monthly from here on out, it will have that line item on there.
All right, great.
With the description.
Okay, excellent. And I also know just because, again, like I said, like the total, like at the bottom of the same page, is not adding up to what was originally the top, the 850,000, right? Of the original budget versus the bottom of the current budget in that second column, right?
So you're saying the total,
our total budget revenue potential, 850,000. Now we are supposed to have marketing, which was a website of 10% of that, because that was raised significantly from prior. 10% of that was 85,000. But if we go to the bottom of our total expenses of what is currently line item, it's just over $750,000, $756,000. It's almost a difference of $100,000. And those are things that we should be able to justify where that money's at. And again, if it's travel or if it's a website. And thank you, I know you ladies do a great job, by the way, in that office, and you're crazy busy, especially payroll day. I think it is important. The primary goal is to be fiscal, like stewards of taxpayer money.
Correct.
And every line item matters. And total should
and
add up.
that is why I know that you had requested a detail listing
Yes,
last
ma'am.
month. That's why she provided you one this month.
Right.
So that you would be able to look at it more closely.
Right, and I'm saying, it's just like what we see here in this one we're currently looking at is our forecasted budget, what we have to approve or not approve things with, and what we have on this other one, if I read correctly, is November, this is what we've already spent in expenses, right? So that's the difference between the two reports. And so both have equal weight and importance in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, thank you.
The reason marketing not on this is that there hasn't been any spent in that line.
Yes, yeah.
So we did approve a website last month.
But we still have to
But we haven't, I understand, we haven't cut a check. I get it.
So we have
to be there.
Right.
Yeah,
I understand on the November report, right.
So what you're doing is you're wanting the subsection included in your monthly, is basically.
In the projected budget, off like the one that says marketing, because there was a specific marketing, because $800 or $85,000 was specific because marketing could be 10% of your total budget. It didn't say you could put 10% into other services, right?
No,
So that's what we approved, that's what was written, that was what was explained. I just feel like it should match month to month.
And you do have a copy of your budget later on, under your EDC spending limits. There is a new revised budget in there, and it does show the $80,000 for marketing in the line on this.
Is that revised and approved by council already?
Yes. And the reason on the rise because of the state park.
where we need to
So
take
that's
it
shown in
into
there too. And we can talk about that later. We'll get to that in a moment, but you do have a new revised, it does have $80,000 in that marked out as that. Because it is 10%, it's 10% of the sales tax, which the sales tax is $800,000.
Okay.
And then you've got interest revenue of 50, it's going to be 10% of the interest, it's only the sales tax will be 1%.
That's understandable, and like I said, that's just 85 is what was presented previously, right? So that's what I'm working off, is the information we've provided up until this point, right? That's all. But again, thank you all. I mean, I can ask more questions next time.
We haven't read the check yet for the half, correct?
Yes.
We have
Yeah,
it.
so it's here. It's here. It's delivered this weekend.
Is that on the monthly, or am I missing?
No, because it's November.
Yeah.
We're behind.
This is October, November. That would be.
This is corrected financials from the questions previously asked.
This is,
Good.
yeah,
This is not current.
So you probably won't see that for 2 more months.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it'll probably be in January.
In January.
Makes sense.
Any more comments? Yes, ma'am. All right.
Well, I could amend my motion to accept number 7.
Okay.
Or do you still,
Do you want to table it? Make a motion.
Yeah. I think we can accept it as it is with, like, if we can say, but then if we are adding these line items or sub-line items, you know, in the next month, or, and you already have a
I
plan
think,
for it.
yeah, she's
But
already
currently
said that-
presented,
And they're there, they're already there.
okay, I'm on the projected, not on the prior.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, right? So we have a printout of what we've spent October, November, right?
Yes.
And then we have a projection of this is our total, this is what we can spend. And it's that projection budget that I'm questioning with the line items, and again, like grouping marketing into other services.
Yeah, it has other services all detailed out.
Right. So if that price tag of other services includes that 80,000 or whatever it's supposed to be,
It does,
10%,
right.
then we can, and I see where it's saying where it has the line items there, but.
And my recommendation is to get with Pam for the next meeting, so that she can get the report and sure wanting to see.
Well, it's not.
There's a lot of different reports that she's running, and so.
I understand that. When I ask questions, it's not because, like, there's a report that Rachel wants or Rachel needs. What I'm saying is, these words and numbers don't match what we were presented with and approved in a budget, right? So if
That's because one of them, what your budget is, or one of them, what you actually spend.
I understand, but like I said, if I thought we had 85,000 for marketing for a website and we just approved a website last month, and then I look at our projection of our current budget and I don't see marketing or website or $85,000, I'm asking myself, where did that money go, right? Because that's a project or a major project and a major, like, primary target of this year is my understanding, right? So, and again, just out of other services, whether it's a subline item or if we just want to look at what other services is included in here. If there's a difference of other services means marketing and travel and whatever other ones that you mentioned, then if you can expand, y'all already know that, so like it can just be expanded on a subline, right? Anyway.
So I'm going to amend my motion to accept number 7 for November's financial statement.
Okay, we have
For my motion.
Okay, we have a amended motion by Mr. William May to second, and we have a second by Mr. Matt, I'm sorry. We'll rename you. All right.
Start calling me Danny Lee.
Thank you.
Rachel, I did make a note. I'm almost positive that Pam has an answer for you. She did the budget, so we'll get with you on that.
All right, great.
And if you have any questions, you can always come to City Hall or call her. You don't have to wait until the EDC meeting.
Right. Well, I like to ask questions at the meeting because I think the community should know as well. And it's not to put extra heat or spotlight on y'all. I know, like I said, that y'all work hard. I just think things should match. It has been that long since we passed the budget, and there's a word and a number missing, right? But thank you.
All in favor of set item number 7? All right, thank you. None opposed. All right, discussion and possible consideration on the following. Item number 8, new board members have 90 days to complete the Open Meetings Act training. So if you get with Ms. Alice, she can provide you with that website, or if you want to do it on your own, you're more than welcome to look up the Open Act.
John, I've already been there.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Gordon.
All right. Thank you. All right. Item number 9, appoint officers for the EDC board for calendar year 2024 for president, vice president, and treasurer. And before the board comments.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just make a motion on that one to table it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion on that one to table it until the new appointment.
Right, but we have a vacant spot right now.
We have a vacant spot until the
Second.
appointment.
Okay, do we have?
I second.
Second made by Mr. Hall. All right, item number 1 table. And we'll have.
Take a vote.
Yeah, all in favor of the vote? All right, thank you. All opposed? Item number 10, the EDC spending limits. Well, Tiffany, get on here? No.
Sorry, my son is sick.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, Mom, you can handle it tonight.
Tell me thank you for letting mama be in here.
Yes.
And just to kind of a little prerequisite on this is I had brought this up, and the reason I had brought this up was, basically is that, in just my opinion, with the EDC director, they, any municipality, every manager has a spending limit that they can spend without having to go to the board every single time to get a vote on it. And so I brought this up to where we had clarification as the EDC board on what the spending limits are on that EDC director, to where they don't feel like they have to come to the board for every single dollar they spend. In my opinion, if they're the EDC director and they're hired by the city as the EDC director, if we have to micromanage them, we probably have the wrong EDC director. I have obviously a large number of employees and several managers, a lot of managers. If I had to micromanage them that much, they wouldn't be a manager working for me. And so I just wanted some clarification on the spending limits, on basically what that EDC director truly has available to him that he can spend without having to come to the board. Just what Rachel's talking about is marketing, advertising. You know, if he wants to spend $1,000 on an advertisement, is that something he really has to come to the board to do? And if he does, that's just going to prolong that like crazy. If I decide today that I want to spend $1,000 in advertising, but I got to go to the board next month, and there's a month gone, that board hesitates one bit, there's another month gone. And before you know it, the advertising I could have bought for $1,000 is long gone. So that was kind of the whole point of this. Just want some clarification on the spending.
Yeah, anything under $1,000 is not required.
No, I guess it's more that position. What's that position spending? Do you know offhand, Scott?
So, when you look at your packet under item number 10, the first part of that again is the revised budget. So, we're talking about the spending limits.
Would you mind coming up here, Scott?
I'm going to be this revised budget answers a lot of the questions I have for the American budget, just clarifying it. And I don't think we've ever seen it before. Right, yes. If we could get this every month, it would be helpful. But thank you again.
Okay, so in your packet under agenda item number 10, the first couple pages that you have is the new revised budget. And so, as we talked about earlier, the last month's budget, or the last month's meeting, you requested to go ahead and allocate $12,400 to purchase the last piece of the skate park, which is the half pipe that we're going to be having at the park. And so, council did approve that last week in their budget meeting, and so before you is the new amended budget as requested or approved by the council for y'all. And so the only thing that you'll see that really has changed is going to be on page okay, there it is. I was looking for. So on page 3, underneath financial obligation, there's it's called transfer out. And so the third section down, you see the $12,400 included there. And so That has been added, and that is the purchase of the last half line. Now, it's a transfer out because this funding went from EDC to the general fund, and then from the general fund was allocated to cemeteries and parks, which is where the actual capital purchase was done from, and where the check was cut from for the purchase of the skate park, along with the rest of the skate park that was purchased for Campbell Park. And all that now is going to be recorded as a capital asset to the city. And so that's where they have to transfer out of EDC funds into the city funds. Okay, and so your bottom line, I think before you had somewhere around 97,000,
Yeah.
94,000 was your that you still had in your budget, and so now it's been reduced to 81,000. And so now you've got the new budget with all the different things, and as you pointed out, if you go to page 2, there is a list of other services, and the first thing under there is $80,000 for marketing, $10,000 for Allies Day, $10,000 for website, and so forth. So those are all your different services that equals the $123,600 for your other services category. Okay.
And then,
I do have one question.
Okay.
And just kind of clarify what he was saying, the EDC director, what is the max amount that he's approved to spend without coming to the board for approval?
Okay, so if you'll go to the next part of that, after the budget, you'll see the purchasing policy. So this is the actual purchasing policy. And council reviews this and approves this purchasing policy every year. And so during the budget process, so this has been revised as of September of 23. So last September, this purchasing policy was revised and approved by council as part of the budget process. And so really the section that y'all really probably are most interested in, instead of all the details, is on page 4. And so under section 4, competitive requirements based on dollar amounts. And so this kind of is where it outlines what a department head or employee can do. So purchases under 5,000, they can go out and they don't have to get quotes or anything. They can just make a purchase under $5,000. Now we do have a PO program that is later on. Anything over $1,000 requires a PO, but they still have to. They don't have to go out and do any competitive bid kind of thing. Any purchases from $5,000 to $10,000, they can purchase. They have the authority to purchase, but they have to get 2 quotes, 2 written quotes for that. Anything over $10,000 but less than $25,000, they have to get 3 quotes for that item, 3 comparable quotes for that item of purchase. And that's anything that's a one-time purchase over between $10,000 and $25,000, or if it's something that you buy a lot of, let's say like chlorine for our water plant. You know, maybe that one truckload may not be $10,000, but over the course of the year, we're going to spend $24,000. It's going to have to get 3 quotes for that purchase for the whole year, and it'd be a PO for the whole year for that product. Okay, so it's either a one-time or if it's a whole year kind of purchase. And then from $25,000 to $50,000, again, it requires 3 quotes, and then just the signature or the approval of the city manager as well, between the $25,000 and $50,000. Now, for purchases greater than $50,000, all purchases over $50,000 has to go before the council for formal approval. Okay, and so, and with EDC, what that would do is we would come to EDC for your recommendation and then go to council for those purchases. But that's kind of, so basically an EDC director in this situation, they would be able to purchase anything up to $25,000 following either no quotes, 2 quotes, or 3 quotes, depending on that price breakdown. And then anything between $25,000 and $50,000 would then have to go before and get city manager approval as well. And then of course, like I said, anything over $50,000, it has to go to council for
So it's max $5,000 approval. That's what I'm getting. That's
Right,
what-
so-
That's not quoting or anything, but if he just says there's something that's under $5,000,
He can just go and buy it.
That's it. I think that's what he was asking, so that's.
But even up to 25,000, he can go and buy it, but he just has to get either 2 quotes or 3 quotes.
Yeah.
But he can do that on their own, have that documentation, and then, and submit it in there. Of course, it would require a PO, and then there's a whole PO process that the department has to approve, the finance director has to approve, and so forth, and myself.
Basically, up to 25,000, he doesn't have to have the EDC approval.
No, but he has to have approval from everybody else. But for $5,000, he doesn't need anybody.
No.
That's where he maxes
That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah, there you go.
And, of course, that is in line within the budget, So, if he's got, if we've got $80,000 for advertising, then he can go out and spend $80,000 in advertising. If we only budgeted $5,000 for advertising, and even though he has a $25,000 limit, he can't go out and spend $15,000 on advertising because that's not within his budget limit.
Yeah, but on an $80,000 budget, he still has to get quotes and get
Correct.
approval from
Yes,
everybody
correct.
else.
That's
So
correct.
it's not just taking, this is what I'm gonna do, and move on. So it's 5,000 more people that just can't. That's what I want to clarify.
And Scott, I have a question on the new approved budget also. Page 1 is just our total, correct? We're just looking at the total, and page 2 starts our line items. This is where y'all referring to when I asked about the projected budget. This is the new projected budget for this current fiscal year.
So page 1 is your revenue.
Right, it's just the total, right? It's just the title page, but the.
Well, no, it's the revenue. So page 1 is your revenue. So 800,000 is your sales tax revenue, and then 50,000 is your interest that's projected.
Right, I understand. And then page 2 starts the breakdown of the line items.
Correct.
So I'm looking at this and my question, and I could have missed something in a meeting. For a long time, we had an infrastructure project listed at $150,000 due to a Buzzy Bee water pipe that we had gone into agreement. I believe that was only half of the cost, and the city was supposed to split the other half cost. I don't see that under infrastructure. I see gateway signs and projects. Projects is only $74,000. So is our commitment gone to Buzzy Bee? Is our budget slashed? Or what happened to that project? Because they're definitely moving forward with that, and that water line is supposed to allow us the opportunity to extend out and provide water and water services and get some more tax revenue with our EPA, right? So what's our status on that infrastructure project?
So it is still there. The difference is on that item, it's not on this budget because it's last year's budget. We are currently in the audit process. Once we get the final audit back, then we will reappropriate those funds that were not spent on those kind of projects, those special So the Buzzy Bee project is one of those projects that was in last year's budget. And we're gonna move all that money, once we get the audit back and do our budget adjustments, all that money will then become part of this year's budget. So that'll be an appropriation that's done, that can't be done until after our audit and everything is finished.
Okay, but our gateway signs in that same line item was also last year's budget, and so is the mural. It was also last year's.
No, we just put that same amount of money in.
Right, but we spent money on mural last year. So we had it, and as far as I was told, we spent that because I asked if we were doing another one, because at a time of a deficit.
You spent half of 18,000.
Oh, okay.
Out of the 32.
Okay, so then so it looks like the total is still there though. That's what I'm talking about.
Correct. So we
I'm saying-
reappropriated $30,000 this year for more mural.
And we've talked about gateway signs last fiscal year and this fiscal year, and it's still there. But a big important project moving forward is a water line that is only not for now, but for our future, and it's not included in this detailed breakdown.
Right, because this is new funding.
Right, it's the newly approved, right? That's what I said, like this is the most recent, but if it's the most recent and that project's moving forward, it shouldn't be left off. But I'm also just in the opinion.
Right, but this is what I'm saying, the $100,000 from last year did not get moved forward to the $100,000 this year. We reallocated $100,000.
So you didn't reallocate for the water project?
Right, we're moving that money because it was set aside and we're gonna move it forward to this project.
Okay.
So this is a new $100,000 and a new $30,000. New $100,000 for gateway and a new $30,000 for murals.
Okay, and my final question on this, and this is just because we had firefighters at the, risk of losing their jobs. Every department got cut across the board. Things like the downtown murals, which I understand beautification and things. what set the priority of keeping that in the budget for this year versus moving things around? Like, if we're in a deficit, I just believe projects like that can be put on hold for another year when someone's not gonna lose a job, right? So, where did the priority list come from for the currently fiscal year of the adoption of what's here? And that might not be a now question, but maybe we need to sit down and reprioritize what really should be in the budget.
Well,
For the EDC budget, I know it's already been approved, but clearly y'all are reapproving because this is a reapproval of what has already a few months ago, right? So this
right,
is
and
an
nothing has
amendment.
been cut out of the budgets yet for the fire services deficit at this time.
I understand that. I'm just saying being more fiscally conservative in times of deficit is important.
And this is a total separate allocation of funds. It's not general fund dollars.
Right.
This is sales tax dollars that's for the
For
EDC.
EDC projects.
Right.
And
So
that's-
this money, I can't just take this money
And
from
give
these
it to someone
projects
else.
and give it to the general fund to pay for fire services.
Right, I completely understand. I'm just saying, like, whenever we talk to our community and say, what are you spending money on? And we say, well, a mural, and then they hear that a firefighter is going to lose a job. I think we need to be able to justify our priorities. I should say that. But thank you again.
Well, and my point on this was just to try to get some clarification moving forward with, obviously, we're going to have an EDC director eventually. Just to have some clarification moving forward, that EDC director is going to fill out the paperwork to the board for every single dollar he spends. I mean, if Roger Brooks had to come to the board for every single dollar he spent, man, our public
We'd have some money in our budget.
Yeah. And we'd never get anything done. So that was all that was. Thank you.
Scott, would you just clarify, you made a mention of getting quotes up to 50,000, different between 3 quotes. And then when you go over 50, it's going to be bid.
Correct.
Competitive bid, so there is a difference.
Correct, and so over 50,000 requires, like Councilman Terrell said, that it's a bid, so it's through a bid process. Or there's purchasing cooperatives that we can be a part of, and so if it's, with your purchasing cooperative has already gone through the bid process. And so if that's something that's has gone through the purchasing cooperative and has already been bid out, we can purchase directly through that purchasing cooperative. But if not, then we have to go through a formal bid process and advertising and solicit bids and so forth for those purchases.
And I've got one question. I just really need some clarification. Hopefully it's simple, easy.
Good luck.
Well, I'm sure it is. The funds that we're being allocated for the infrastructure stuff, that stuff cannot be touched by the city for general funds to be allocated for other stuff, correct?
Correct.
So no matter what you do with that money still has to be allocated for that stuff and nothing else. Correct. That's what I just want to make sure we clarify.
But anything that's in the EDC budget now, we can move stuff around if we need to, but it's EDC funds. These are funds that, it's a percentage of the sales tax that we collect goes to EDC. And those EDC funds are for EDC-related projects. And there's a whole gamut of what qualifies within, it can be purchased with EDC funds. And general fund stuff is,
Yeah, that's what I want to clarify.
And with your funds, if you don't spend your funds, it stays with you. So your reserves will build up on with those funds that you do not spend. So you can continue to spend those. Whereas for other departments, the situation Roger Brooks was already mentioned with Public Works, if he doesn't spend his funds in his budget this year, he loses those funds and gets all new allocation of funds for next year. Whereas y'all's, if you don't use it, it just goes back into your reserves.
And the only reason that it echoes the water line is because it was moved out to a different account.
Well, no, it's the same. It was set up in a specific project account that is a capital project, and so it gets handled a little bit differently. So we're going to move that $150,000 that we allocated to, once we go through the audit and everything, we're going to do a reappropriation of those funds. And there's several purchases and different projects that didn't get completed in the last fiscal year that those funds will move forward. And when those funds move forward, all of those will be done at the same time.
So it's more than the water line?
Oh, yes.
So it was
Well, for example,
reallocated and sourced.
Another one is we've got the evidence building over at the police department, okay? So that project is halfway through during this budget transition. All those funds that were not spent last year will be reallocated to this year for us to complete that project.
Thank y'all so much. All right.
Good job.
Item number 11, chamber luncheon table.
So this was, Mr. Chairman, this is something else I brought up. We had, I was invited to the last chamber luncheon, and I thought that would have been a really good idea for the EDC to have a table of their own there. So the director, the EDC members could attend it, the director, the mayor, people could invite current business owners, future business prospects to be able to come to the chamber, enjoy the luncheon. I got with Ms. Good on this myself, and for one table that seats 8, and I'm sure Ms. Good would mind come up and explaining it, but for one table that seats 8 is $2,000 for the whole year. That's for the entire year. The first one of this year is going to be obviously February 1st, like she had said. And then an additional table on that is only $360, is what she had made available for the EDC board. So it'd be $2,360. You changing
I did a
on me?
little math, yeah, okay. So can I interrupt you and just tell
Absolutely.
everyone kind of what, so we have an agreement with the city of Cleveland that really, it's a platinum membership, which is our highest level. It's $2,000 a year. We did basically a facilities trade, is what it boils down to, so that we can use the Civic Center for our luncheons, and then they get a platinum membership, and so they get, is that a
Where's the stool?
So the city of Cleveland and the chamber have a trade where we give them a platinum membership and trade for the facilities. So we use the Civic Center for our luncheons, we promote them, and so there's a lot that goes into that agreement. Whenever I was asked about the EDC joining, I was thinking we could kind of do a similar, not really a trade, but y'all would do a platinum membership. That's going to always be my best option. And then you asked about 2 tables. So the platinum membership had just a normal platinum membership for any business is 1 luncheon ticket a month. That's it. And you get table sponsorship, so you get your name on the table, but you don't get all 8 seats. What I was going to do is do the platinum membership for y'all. You would get all 8 seats. And then the 360 was a guess. I actually just did some math. I think what I and our board, I have 2 board members here, they would probably agree, is that if y'all can just cover the luncheon fee, then what we pay the caterer. Because if you look at our budget, our luncheons are always in the negative because we don't make enough money on our luncheons, and that's, the city helped us out with that as far as the trade goes for the Civic Center. So I would recommend $2,500. That would give you the 2 tables, and that would cover your 16 seats and lunches for all of our luncheons.
So my idea on this was being able to utilize these, like I said, if we had an EDC director, that would be part of his job to invite current business owners, prospective businesses, and get that communication opened up between the city, EDC, the chamber, and start facilitating that. 8 slots can be taken up, obviously, with just EDC members, but so if we need 1 table or 2 tables, I don't know, but for the price of the second table, only being $500, it's almost, again, an EDC director wouldn't even have to come to us for this. In a normal situation, that would be just good marketing and advertising.
So we would get 16 seats and 16 luncheon tickets or whatever, so whoever we brought from business director, they wouldn't be paying for it, they would be included in 16.
So
for the whole year, that's for the whole year.
For the whole year, yeah. So the city, they get a full table every month. you mentioned like if the mayor wanted to, so he's already usually included in the cities.
Well, no, what I meant by that was actually, that was like throwing the line out to Mayor Lee because we don't have an EDC director right now. But the mayor spends a lot of time around town, so does city manager, Roger. People can invite, we got several city council members here. They can invite business owners. Until we have an EDC director, those, everybody's gonna have to kind of work together, invite some business owners.
Well, I think I'm sorry. I think just moving forward, I would mind one table just to try it out until we can get an EDC director. Just a suggestion, I think that would be, okay to moving forward to try it out to get that one table. Then once we get our EDC director and we get more going, like I said, we can get the different business owners that can come to these luncheons and sit at our table. I feel like something like that would be better to work.
And if we did that, could we get that other table at any time?
Yeah, so I was also gonna suggest to just start with the one table and kind of see how that goes. Whenever y'all are ready to do, so that would just be the $2,000 for the platinum membership.
Okay.
And then, like I said, the special deal for y'all is that it would include all 8 seats with tickets. Whenever you're ready to add a second table, if it's mid-year, we could just prorate it for the year that we were working in the calendar year.
That's
That
exactly
keeps
what
it
we wanted to do.
very unconfusing.
Well, one thing I see here, and understand the one table, at one table, if everybody goes, you're done.
Right, right.
$500 for an extra table, I don't see it being a big waste of money, because if everybody decided to go and they invite a guest, you're not gonna have seats for them. And one thing I really like this is that I was on the chamber board back in the early 2000s, when all the verdict went around, and, everything got split up, it was a big division. Me personally, I think the chamber, the EDC, and the city all should be working together to try to build the city up. So anything that we can do to get everybody together and show support, I'm for it.
And I agree. I mean, if we did, I would hope that, I know it's gonna be a little difficult at first, but communication on it at first, because if obviously, well, I'll speak for myself. If I have a table, a chair at our EDC table, and we're full, and a business owner wants to come, I can pay for my own ticket. I don't need the city or EDC to be paying for my ticket. I will give mine to a business owner. And with only 8 seats, here you go. I mean, like Mr. Buckley said, we're full. If we show up and we, have 5 or 6 people for the business owner. Yeah. Just like Brett said, one table's going to fill up really quick. I would suggest go ahead and do the 2, and it's another $500 is all it is for the year.
With what Mike said, I think that the other way, and just going along with what you're saying, is that if y'all don't have a lot of people coming for that specific month, then you can open up more opportunities for city people to come, so like apartment leagues and things like that, because y'all only have 8 seats, and a lot of times those are full, and you have some extra people, so y'all might have to get another table too.
We get the same deal?
I'm just gonna make a motion that we approve 2 tables for $2,500 to get the platinum membership and move forward with it.
So motion made by Ms. Rachel Hall and second by Mr. McGuire.
And I don't know if I can say this right now, but I would like to also talk to y'all about the billboards, because that's something that I wanted to do, and I think working together,
Oh, yeah, that's all now. Yeah. Thank you. All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed?
And I thank Scott and that's where we're at.
Send me a bill tomorrow.
Scott's going to be our temporary EDC director.
All right.
He's like, no, That was Darrington's job. I forgot about that.
I don't know, 12 billboards, we'll have Mr. Scott come up and talk about that for us.
As far as the billboards, I haven't had a whole lot of time to look into this, but I have gotten with Archie Johnson, who we've kind of mentioned before.
And I do have the contact.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is installing, he's gone through the process with city council to get permission to put additional signs. He's gone through TxDOT to do additional signs in Cleveland. And so he's currently working with Development Services because he's wanting to put digital signs up. And part of the agreement that we have with them is that on each of the digital billboards, there's going to be a rotation. That's kind of the benefit of digital, is you can put multiple displays up there. Well, when he has that rotation, the city's going to be guaranteed one rotation of those throughout the year. And so our idea is that to promote Cleveland, of course, and so we can partner together where if it's hometown Christmas, it's November, December, we want to promote hometown Christmas, we promote Cleveland and hometown Christmas on them. But on off months, maybe we do something to, welcome to Cleveland, and we come up with some kind of, display. Again, it's a billboard, so you can't put a whole lot on there. It's got to be a few words and a nice pretty picture to get people's attention, because they don't have a whole lot of time when they're driving 60 plus down to read a lot of stuff. But we can definitely get that attraction and attention. So that's about as far as we've got. I know that this last week he's been working with Danielle trying to get that done. So there is potential for those. No, that's free.
Yeah.
That rotation is free for us to be able to utilize those. Free is good. So, and he's planning on doing, it's on 105, and he's got some on 69 in the Cleveland area. So that would be a great opportunity for us to be able to promote that. But as far as outside of Cleveland and renting them, I haven't had a chance to look into that at this point.
Okay.
But Ms. Good, if she wanted to talk about
Yes,
something.
Go ahead, comments.
I really didn't know what y'all were going to talk about, but I've had the idea in my head to propose that to the council and EDC, that we would have a welcome to Cleveland, or the businesses of Cleveland, Texas welcome you to our town, like kind of a welcoming billboard. That's what my idea is.
Well, so Brent and I were involved in this the last EDC meeting. And what the idea was originally was to get EDC, the city, the chamber, maybe a couple of businesses all together and purchase a billboard, probably on north side, south side 59, something like that, was originally the idea that we had talked about. And to see if we could split those billboards up in cost and try to get a billboard, that's coming in from the north, coming in from the south. We just didn't get any prices or anything like that.
I would just like to be in that conversation, because I think it's a great idea.
Well, we can include you in that conversation. All we're gonna want is some of your money. And that's just some of it. We don't need a lot of it. We just need some.
So do we have a motion, Clyde, on the club to go on?
This is just a discussion,
It's a
right?
discussion,
Because we
yeah,
don't
it's a
know
proper
where we're going to
consideration.
sign, or do we know the cost of the sign?
No, we don't.
No, I don't think we
The
got it.
electronic is free.
I
Yeah.
Electronic word.
remember every fourth, but I thought that was like for the city's use. So if we're gonna talk about distinct, like city council, like if they wanna say like your water bill, not that they'd advertise that, or whatever they want to say, versus EDC welcome businesses. Like there's two different messages of what the residents need to know for day-to-day operations versus business welcome.
Well, what we were referring to, Brent and I, when we were talking about it last time, was the the permanent billboards.
Okay.
Somewhere up north, coming south, somewhere down south, coming north.
Just the traditional billboards.
Traditional
This one,
billboards,
the
and
city gets
sharing the cost of those. Hopefully, obviously, Ms. Good's already committed to doing it, so we hopefully sharing that cost with the chamber, maybe pick up a couple of businesses, Pueblo or something, to maybe pick up a corner or something of it. It's kind of how we talk about it.
And like the idea, we just need like the money part of it, and like who would go on it.
Well, first we need to do is get prices. We gotta get the prices on the billboards. Maybe get the plumbing company involved or something. Anyway, trying to help everybody out.
Item number 13. EDC projects and goals, and Mr. Scott is actually going to come up for that. And if Mr. Scott, you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and read all those, and then we can touch on those instead of going one by one. Is that okay with the board?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I would like to mention something about these. Those of you that have been to meeting, just for our new members here, just kind of a little bit of history on why you see these on our agenda every month. Well, these are items that, you know, being on EDC, once you approve a project, so to speak, you have to go through certain steps before you can get that done. Anything that falls under these wordings, we've already had the public hearing for, we can act a lot quicker. So if we have a city beautification or revitalization project, we've already kind of saved time in getting action done on those. So they stay on here as reoccurring for potential projects. I just want to kind of share that. Because a lot of times you see that, hey, these are here all the time, what are they for? Nothing's getting done on them. That they're here kind of as a placeholder for if we identify an area here that says, hey, we need to put a project on this. Right. Well, we've kind of done a little bit of the legwork to get that done faster.
Well, that's kind of what I'd like maybe Scott to go through each one of them, like gateway signs. I think we have $100,000 budgeted.
We have that one
Yeah.
allocated.
It's already allocated.
And there's not necessarily, outside of those gateway signs, there's not necessarily any money already allocated to this. This would come out of your other funds.
But we haven't went anywhere with those gateway signs. So if we could, what I'd like to see is us moving forward. You know, let's pick a location for that gateway sign. Let's get busy on it. And, you know, I know we don't have the money to do, 3 or 4 gateway signs. But if there's enough money there to do one, let's get busy on one.
Yeah.
I asked a question, just because you mentioned the public hearing. Can someone clarify, once you have a public hearing, when do you have to redo it? Like if it was 12 or 15 months ago, do you need to redo it every 12 months?
Does it expire?
Right, does it expire? Because sometimes I feel like we look at this list and maybe it needs to be a living document. Some things should be moved up and some things should be knocked off, and we should talk to the public 12 months later because we have new people and get their input. So I appreciate the background, but what I'm saying is, talking to our community once and saying that's good enough and leave it open-ended is not as communicative as we should be with our community when we want.
And the way this was laid out, wording-wise, and the verbiage was, hits a lot of the marks that EDC can spend their money on. Because EDC can't just spend their money on anything. You're correct me if I'm wrong, Fred, we're allocated to spend it on X, Y, or Z. Right. And that's kind of why the verbiage in some of this is very vague, because it opens you up to a myriad of potential projects.
I completely understand. I'm really talking about getting our input from our community again, and when do we recall and say, hey, are these still the good projects? Do y'all have anything else to say about it? Should we move forward? Like, as far as not just doing a public hearing once and then saying we don't have to ever talk to the public again about these primary projects.
No, that's the beautiful thing about EDC too, though. If we have anybody come up that says, hey, they have a need for this, and it doesn't fall into any of these categories, we can act on that, call a public hearing at any time. I mean, this doesn't.
So it doesn't expire?
No. And it doesn't get you.
One hearing goes on for 5 years.
And some of these actually are funded, like the gateway, $100,000 gets there every year.
But that gateway sign.
Demolition and clearance.
But we're not limited to those public hearings like what you're saying. Like, you don't say, okay, we've had a public hearing this year, we can't have another one. We can have, we can do it at any time.
Right.
We can change this at any time.
And the first one's a good example. We have the money for that, ready to be spent, it's allocated for it. Let's spend it, let's get going.
You know, on the gateway sign, that's another thing is, do we need to have a design? And that may be where we spend some of that $100,000 to come up with a design for our city that says, okay, we want to do a gateway sign for all our entrances. We want to come up with a design for all of our entrances that are different sizes depending on where the location's going to be, and scalable, and maybe even something, because I've done this both in Deer Park and Mount Doug as well, to where we have gateway signs that are very large at your entrances, but your sign on 69 is going to be different than what your sign on 787 is going to be.
Right.
They're on a different road, but you still want an entrance into your city. You want to have some kind of gateway sign in there. But then you also utilize that same sign design concept, and you scale it down to where now you put them in front of all your city facilities, have a sign that replicates or that ties into that. So when you drive into Cleveland, you have a sign, and then you drive by a city facility, you know that's a city facility, and it's got the city's name on it. And then you also can tie in your wayfinding signs to that same kind of design or concept, so where you have direction. Well, the high school is this way, the chamber is this way, the library is this way, city hall is this way. That's part of your branding overall in the whole city. Now, it probably wouldn't take the whole 100,000, but that may be where we start, so that we have an idea. You know, the airport's got a beautiful sign that's really not big enough, but that's a different sign than any other sign that we have. Our park signs are, every park's got a different looking sign, and our city hall sign is different than the civic center, different than the police department, different than the library. Maybe that's something we look at and say, we want to do that branding. We want to have that, and we want it to be nice, and our gateways, and we want, we've got one at the entrance on 69. Is that the right location? Right. Now that we've got the new 69, driving by, is that the proper place? And if it is, we need a much bigger sign. And it could be the right place, but it just needs to be a bigger sign. But that's probably going to be the biggest location. But then coming in on 105, coming into town, maybe a little bit different. And if you're going on a loop on 105, that's going to be a little bit different. If you're coming off 321, again, we need to come up with some location, but it needs to be a different size. It wouldn't be the same size. It may have the same look, the smaller version. Or it may be completely different, but have a similar look to it. And the same thing, the one that you have on the entrances is going to be probably bigger and larger than what you're going to have in front of your city hall or the library or anything like that, police department. But then at the airport, you're on 787 and that's a big one, and so maybe it's still similar, but it maybe have a different look as well. But if you want it to all tie in so that everybody goes, that's a city facility. Right. It goes back to that branding.
So I think it's important that once we decide on that branding, that we get the buy-off of the city of the chamber. Because we want everybody to say, this is our brand, as opposed to that future.
And then what you can do is, that costs a lot of money. To do all those, to replace them, and so it's not a 1-year budget. It's a 5-10-year process to do, especially if you're doing wayfinding signs and everything, and then you prioritize what signs you want to do, because maybe you're going to do one gateway sign a year, and then maybe one facility a year, and then you get those done, and then you do wayfinding or whatever, or maybe identify 4 or 5 wayfinding locations, like at certain intersections like Houston and Washington. That's a great location to have some wayfinding signs to direct people which way to go in different locations, and maybe off of Houston and off of Washington, some different locations, and so, but having that program, put those priorities in place, and then having a budget to where we know maybe it's $250,000 or $500,000 a year that we got a budget for 5 years or 10 years to get them all done and do them right, and really change that image of Cleveland.
We had a question for you.
I'd like to add to that. It was about a year ago that the gentleman came down. He was brought here, I think, Brother Clay and David at a convention, and he's from Arlington. He came down and we talked to him. You can't see the sign on the south because this thing is too high. So we talked about doing something higher. Well, he came back with a bid of $140,000. So I like the idea of what we were seeing on the south, because there was a gentleman that came down from EDC from Gilmer, Texas. And he said, we knew he was coming down to lecture us. And he said, I know where Cleveland was at, the mountain. And, but you had nothing on your side of the town, on the north side, saying you were in Cleveland. So even though the sign on the south, I like it. And if you did the same thing on north, from east to west, but maybe different sizes, you don't have to spend that design fee. You already got something designed.
And I think from previous meetings when we talked with Robert, we were trying to come up with different designs, and then also too, we wanted to meet with TechDOT so we could talk about the regulations, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So we can know how far we could go up, and then how far from the road we could be with those signs.
Right. All that goes into play. Right. And even like for us in City Hall, we do have a lot of frontage. But there is a restriction on how close you can get to,
I think we never did get the meeting set up. I think they have a bunch of days to check out.
Now, as part
Somebody was gonna leave.
Part of the history there, didn't we
talk about actually moving forward with smaller signs on the bypass. And because, Fred, you're right, when they came in and presented about gateway signs, there wasn't anything for one sign under $100,000. And then you had competing gateway billboard type signs, then you ran into regulations because the city limits at the time didn't allow those tall, big signs, right? I don't know, I think that's changed because of this gentleman who came in with the billboards. There was an ordinance change, correct? They allow different sizes or bigger sizes. Is that correct?
That's we added billboards.
For billboards and signs within the city limits, so these signs, and then the other conversation, so it's not that it's necessarily been put on hold, because like I said, there was discussion of matching, but also the expectation of it. Where do you put it, like you said, because if we are developing Buzzy Bee or extending out, and you put $100,000 sign here, and your city limit started a mile back, because you've now taken on some of that EPJ area, then where is the most appropriate place? I do think, and I could be wrong, so Brent or whoever has the notes, didn't they already talk about moving forward with placing them on the bypass, on each end of the bypass, which I think we also renamed Veterans Memorial. Nobody knew that. I think it's renamed, isn't it? At some point, yeah. So I don't see signs about that either. But maybe there is something that has been approved or moved forward. I don't know with a change in leadership where those plans are, but it's not that it's been completely put on hold. It's because of all of these different little limitations. But some things were presented or planned, and they wanted it to match some of the current signage so that we just tied it to the current facade.
I didn't necessarily mean anything to put on hold, but this gateway signs has been on this agenda for 2 years.
Yeah, you're right.
And we still have the same $100,000 budget. We haven't spent a dollar of it in 2 years. All I'm saying is, let's move forward somewhere with it. Let's see if we need to get some designing done. Let's sign a contract, let's get some design.
And I think it was on that Veterans Memorial one, I think that was at some point.
I know we had discussion on it because we had, at that time, we haven't really had any prices on anything. And so I know we didn't vote on approving any signs. We may have voted on looking at a location, but I don't think anything was finalized.
No. There's two things I remember. One, we're waiting on the north side of town because 59, they're deciding, they're gonna widen it so they don't know where to put it yet. And I know Robert was talking with Clint at one point about putting a sign somewhere on the bypass with his property on the west side of that. So that's two of them that I know about. So the north side's kind of on hold because of, we don't know what they're doing with 59 yet.
And the south side too, with the intention of eventual development south with that water line of the Buzzy as you head towards Glendora, right? And whether it's on the left of the interstate coming north or the right, or if we just update where the flags and the welcome sign is, or just make that nicer. Like all those things have been taken into consideration, but with road construction and all the other stuff.
So maybe even getting on a design going with a designer, maybe that's, what's the next step? Get something going.
I mean, I think having a uniform program is your best thing. That's working with the designer. That's what I've done in multiple cities. I mean, I worked, the first gateway sign I ever worked on was Washington County. Way back when. I worked with the Chamber of Commerce, because that was actually a Chamber of Commerce project that I worked on with them to develop those gateway signs way back when. But those, they're really nice. Everybody knows those nice gateway signs in Washington County, but those are not. Those are more than $100,000 a piece. But they last a long time and they make people know.
But we contact a couple of companies that do these signs and have them get some mock-ups for us.
And I think that's a great idea. Let's get some
designs. They do some mock-ups, they'll get us some mock-ups. We don't have to pay anything for that.
Right.
And come into.
You add that on your agenda?
I can see if I can get somebody. I've got someone I've worked with before to see if they can come in and nothing else, just talk to y'all about what that process looks like and just visit with you and show them what some of the work that they've done before.
On the south side of town, you have the Cleveland sign that sits out there with the brick. Everything was nice. What about on the north end? Is there a spot that you could put something similar to that? And what would the cost? I don't know if you know what the cost was originally for the first one. Because to kind of mimic that on the north side of town, so when you're coming through, you know where you're, at least at this point, start until you get the big signs. They keep it matching so they stay the same. I see them in Conroe all the time. I've seen them in Tomball, here in Kingwood. Anywhere you go, they have an entrance, they have a sign saying, you know, welcome to wherever, you know, but they have it on every entrance when you come in. I know we can't put them in every section of town like that, but at least on the north and south side of Cleveland, the main entrance, I would think something like that. Because it looks nice, it's presentable, you know, I know you have one of the big billboard signs so everybody can see it, but when you come into a town, especially a smaller town, it's more residential. It looks more out.
You really want a monument sign.
Yes.
You know, you want a monument sign that stands out.
Yes.
The problem with the north side is, of course, the 69 construction. They're about to get started on widening in that section, and then it'll be under construction for years.
So,
you know, and actually 105 heading west. That's another situation. They're actually in design right now, because right now it stops at the Liberty County line, but they're about to start development and design of the Liberty County line, moving all the way through Liberty County as well. So that's going to be under construction. Of course, you know, I know we talked to Pendleton, but if you know, we've got the industrial park that's out there. That's actually outside of Pendleton's property. You know, and so again, it goes back to Rachel's, you know, point. Where do you want that? You know, and I've talked to Conroe about the location. They went as far as they could possibly go on I-45 because they wanted people to know all that development that's happening is inside of Conroe, because their sign was right out there with the 105 and 45 at first. Of course, there's a park there now in the mountains, but that's where their signs were originally. Everybody thought they weren't in Conroe until they got there, but they're quite a bit further south. And so they ended up having to move all their signs when they put the new signs in, so people knew that they were coming in. They wanted people to know you're coming through Conroe.
But the chances of annexing more land now has gotten very difficult.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's what I said, before you stop and go to sign, I don't think your annexation is going much further. So, and really, if somebody's driving in, they see a sign, they don't know where city limits is either. So it really doesn't matter. The main thing, letting them know you're coming in illegally.
And I know Pendleton has some property right there at Fostoria, you know, and
He's
105. So,
off
but that's something that they can come in, the consultant can come in, they know the requirements, they know the roles, or where you can put different signs, and they can maybe identify some areas, locations, that would be good for that, and then what kind of signs. And that's something that that's what they do. So, and like I said, it wouldn't hurt to have somebody come in next month and just have them talk, visit. Moving to the parks and playgrounds expansion, you know, the biggest one on that is we did get the skate park. I approved the funding last month. The last final piece was approved, or it was delivered this weekend, so it is here. We did go to the Parks and Rec Board last month. They are allocating or approved the west side of the pavilion that's out there now. So you've got the splash pad, which is the old pool location. The pavilion on the west side of it, that's going to be kind of the designated area with the new skate park. Because now that we've got this ramp park that we've been able to purchase, it's a lot larger than what we had ever anticipated we would have. And so we need a larger location. So we're going to continue to use the current location at Campbell Park, possibly put some of the ramps and features over there for right now until we can raise the funds for the additional part of that. And so we're looking at now, I know Roger's still working with some different vendors and stuff to kind of find out. We're looking at probably putting we talked about maybe a 4-foot fence to kind of separate the pavilion, putting like maybe a 4-foot landscape area between the fence and the pavilion and the skate park, just to kind of help keep that separation from the pavilion, and then doing the actual slab for the skate park on that. And so we're probably looking at about $40,000-$50,000 to do that.
That gets them up to like 5,000 square feet, right?
That gets them close, yeah. We're looking at 5,000, 4,500 to 5,000. The ramps, they can go on a 3,000 square foot but we're looking at doing, because it's a 3,000 to 5,000 square.
Well, that's
foot, we're
great
looking at
news,
doing it
because
five.
if you remember last meeting, we were talking about this, a lot of, the biggest concern was the space.
Right.
And so knowing that that was really good news to your council, that they were looking at doing that, so.
So we're moving forward with that, we're getting a price. I know that, I mentioned maybe having additional funds available to maybe assist with that. The city does still have the 25,000 that they allocated for matching funds for them to raise. They've raised about 1,500 so far. We've used some of that for the first purchase of the ramps, but there's still, I think they've raised 1,500, so that's 1,500 of the 25,000 that they've used of those matching funds. And so, but they are still trying to raise funds and do different things to get that. So that's the biggest one on that. City and beautification revitalization. One of the things that was discussed last week, and Ms. Ashley's here,
Scott, real quick, on B, do we have an amount that you're going to be asking EDC, an idea of an amount yet?
For the concrete?
We have an idea, about 50,000 or so, but.
What you're going to want from EDC for?
Well, again, the city's got 25 that we've got for matching. Now, do you consider city EDC funds matching the city's funds? That's something to be considered, you know.
So we're looking
Is
at.
that the city matching the city? Or is that, you know, the idea was for them to raise funds to get them.
So we're looking at 50,000 total.
Possibly.
Total, like around that, give or take, 50 grand total, right? And that doesn't include anything that's already been spent on high pipes.
No,
Yeah.
this is in addition.
Going forward.
So we spent 25,000 so far.
A portion of that 50,000, you're gonna want from EDC. Right.
He asked, when he was here last month, he wanted that.
No, I know, and that's the reason I'm going with this, because I remember that conversation that you wanted some money, but we just don't know how much yet.
Yeah, they haven't come back with any request past the half bucks yet.
So it's a zero right now, like zero.
Zero, Ron, you in trouble. We on your train.
Just so we know that we are gonna be.
Right. Okay. Moving on to C, beautification and revitalization. We did have our strategic plan update last week for the city council. Part of that is beautification and revitalization of downtown. It's under the city pride section. And so I know that Ashley has worked with the school district to try to work with the schools on maybe an art program to try to bring some art. And that may include, you know, some landscaping items, so maybe some art pieces, and maybe putting some pots downtown with some flowers and so forth, just kind of bring in some beautification. It's also working with the chamber and development services to maybe try to come up with a employee of the month or business of the month downtown and try to get them to have some buy-in, and maybe EDC can contribute, an idea of that maybe with that business of the month, maybe EDC contributes funds. And with those funds, maybe we buy a plaque that we give each month that's got the city and the chamber and the EDC logos on there, and then we put them in their wall so they display beautification of the month, and we try to help encourage businesses. But part of that goes back to the initial part, was that doing some landscaping, doing some beautification, because we've got to, as a city, we've got to take the lead as well. We've got to invest in our own downtown and make some improvements, and we got to show that we're putting some skin in the game, and so we can make some of those improvements. We've got the murals already, are doing the pavilion, which is later on down here, which another piece of that pavilion, since we're on beautification, we purchased the pavilion, but all we purchased was the pavilion. It needs a sidewalk, it needs landscaping, it needs, the Lions Club is going to do benches, but I think we still need to have picnic tables and trash cans and different things that we need to. If we want to do this downtown, we're going to invest, we've got to invest right. There's no funding that's been allocated so far for that. All it's been is the pavilion. So these are things that still need to be done, and EDC's got your name on it, and so we need to make sure that, yes, and we've made the first payment, the pavilion has been ordered, the materials are, so we're waiting on that, so we're moving forward. But as soon as it's done, we need to go in there and making some improvements.
Yeah, because just like the water park over here, I remember in the council meeting, Ashley had addressed it and said that the kids actually painted that mural.
That's correct. So that mural that's at Campbell's Campbell Park, was painted by the school, the kids at the school. And so that's another idea. Of course, we've already got a mural where the pavilion's going. We've got one across the street above the Texan Theater, you know, and so,
Ron,
but.
I know you're kind of combining those two, of course, but on F, all we have right now is the pavilion that y'all put
Right.
on there. So how soon can we get, for this doesn't just drag on, how soon can Roger or somebody get us an idea on landscaping, sidewalks? I think Lions Club, I think you said donating some benches.
Yes, Rotary, not the Lions. Before we jump down, can I ask a question on the revitalization real quick before we jump to F for the details? Revitalization, we have a facade grant for our downtown business owners. What are we doing to push out that information to let them know it exists, how to apply, what the regulations, stipulations are? How are we communicating that with them? Whether it's the right amount of money or not right amount of money, we at least have some money, we have something, but how are we helping our downtown businesses know how to get to that?
And the reason she mentioned the money is because her and I had a conversation about this the other day, that facade grant, as a business owner, $2,500 is not going to make a difference on me making a decision if I'm going to redo the facade of my business. That's just not enough. My last business that I redid the front of it was $157,000. $2,500 is not going to help me make a decision whether I'm going to do that or not. So I agree. I think that we do need to figure out a way to get that out to businesses, but I don't think the amount of money it is currently it's not near enough money. In my opinion, I don't think that's, Mr. Buckley owns some businesses. I don't think that's going to make a difference in his businesses either. If that's going to $2,500.
Well, it's $10,000.
We need 25. It's 10,000.
It's $10,000 for the entire year. So and it's up to $5,000 matching. Like they don't.
Well, that's matching though.
Right. And so they have this.
So you can get 5,000. You guys spend 10, but we only got 10,000. So we do a full 5,000. We can only do 2.
Right.
If we do 2,500, we can do 4.
Right. And depending on again how much they
And
spend.
how many people have taken advantage of this?
But we had one last year. One person got the total amount. I think my question is more about these revitalizations and investment in downtown. Is specifically how are we reaching out and letting businesses know this is a program that exists. Whether or not we decide at any point to change the money amount, some of them might not know it exists. And right now, $10,000 is $10,000. That might not be a lot, but hey, it'll help them pay an electric bill, right? It's something. So it's still something. I'm just really. Is it on the website or like how do they know it? We are in month 4 of our fiscal year,
I believe
right?
it's on the website. I know maybe it's something we can partner with the chamber also to kind of help with them. I know Robert was doing it by word of mouth. You know, his one-on-one contacts with the businesses.
Because we have it every fiscal year. So if we're already not going to meet again until February and someone's applying, like between now and September, somebody should have access to $10,000 if they want to revitalize something downtown. I haven't read all the requirements. Right, well, unless they do 2. Yes, you're right. So maybe if we just put that out there or let them know.
And that's one of the things that we talked about in the budget process last year was trying to increase that, but that wasn't something that wanted to be done.
I just want to make a clarification on that revitalization. That money to be allocated, they have to do work to upgrade the building. It's not to pay the bill or.
No.
It's not to pay their.
If you want to add some landscaping in your parking lot, or you want to replace your sign, if you want to do some facade.
What I'm saying is they have to spend the $10,000 first to get the $5,000 matching. So once they get that $5,000 in their pocket, what they do with it is their business, right? Because they're getting money back. They already spent 10. So, but I understand what you mean. It's not for their light bill. It's for
That may be something that you're talking about, different from what the EDC has been involved in. I did Royal did it about 5-6 years ago. They remodeled it. They took advantage of that and got the $5,000. Mrs. Cook did it, and then later came back a couple years later and remodeled. She bought the end and redid that. And that's the 3 people involved that have done. But it's a certain percentage of what your investment was, right? Up to $5,000. Right. And you're talking about maybe at 10 or max, something different.
Our line item is a total of 10,000 for the program, but they can only get up to 5,000, and it's matching, it's not 100% of their cost. It's
That's
not
all.
gonna pay it.
That's all that we ever paid.
For the year.
It's 10,000 total.
It's 10,000 total.
If,
And-
if two people took $5,000, that's gone.
Right. I'm just saying, even with that, do they even know, I know it's not a lot, but do they know that 5 or potentially 10, because last year it was the same individual who updated 2 separate spaces and got all 10. Do they know about it, and are we communicating it with our downtown businesses, that they're aware that there's at least some support? It might not be substantial, but it's something.
And I agree, I think that we need to make sure they know about it. I do think that that amount needs to go up. That amount of money is not enough to, but, we can figure out a way to advertise it a little bit better, but I think that we do need to change that facade grant. Brent and I talked about this the other day also, and it's, as a business owner, that's just, you're gonna look at that money and, well, thanks a lot, but, it's not.
And I think a lot of these communication pieces, Rachel, I think we're all up here excited about it. It's one of the biggest points of getting this website.
Yes.
Being that angle to get that out there and drive people to those websites so where it's easily found. Right now it's kind of a problem.
The chamber didn't know, like, you mentioned the facade grant before, but like, we didn't know the details of any of this. So, I mean, we can send an e-blast out, and that goes to over 600 email addresses. Like, that's one way. We also have our ambassadors. They can go around and visit the downtown businesses and let them know that this is a thing. Like, this is another way that we can partner together.
Communication. And I'm just going to add, without looking at the newly third financial amended whatever newest budget, there was a separate line item called business incentives at the amount of $25,000. Now, my opinion a few months ago was we should be creating some sort of in-house grant that we can have businesses apply for. That's, as far as I know, we don't have a program set in place where they can say, hey, I want to do this beautification project and I want to, have some money to help. Whether it's 100% grant or matching, doesn't really matter. What I'm saying is, how do we help directly with the businesses? The other additional $25,000, how are we using business incentive money to actually incentivize business, right? And how do they know about it? Because they might be willing to put on some paint for $3,000 if we give them $3,000. And I don't know how much paint costs, so I could be completely wrong with the number. But my point is, it's sitting there, and it's in this year's budget, and we have until September 30th to use it. We're almost in February. Do business owners even know? Communication. That's all.
And I think the answer is no. So,
And that, I apologize to the community for my question, but I want you to know.
well, here we go. Just what Mr. Buckley said earlier. Communication between EDC, Chamber, the city, all of us working together. Here we go. We got 600 emails going out tomorrow morning. Right, Mr.? Yep.
Well, the thing is too, we don't have a website right now.
Correct.
So, to me, if you're on the EDC board and you know about these grants and all, or the places to get the money, as a board member, it's your responsibility to go out and push it out. They should never come ask. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but to answer your question, right here, we're responsible. It shouldn't be up to the city to go out there and push it as much as I feel that we should. So if it hasn't been pushed out, then I feel the board has failed to push it out there to get it out to the public. So one way to get that out, which would be the website, would be great. But if we need to, make up little flyers and go pass them around to the cities down, the business downtown, or all around the city, say here's what we had to offer if you're interested. But that's just things that the board itself needs to look at doing. We have failed the city at that point, in my eyes, but they're not getting this stuff out.
Well, I know I've spoken with some, not all, but I'm an appointed volunteer, right? And so I also feel like that comes under the responsibilities of who your hired full-time staff member, EDC director is, or a website that communicates well, right? We shouldn't have to go door to door to provide old-fashioned communication. We should be able to put it on every social media, every website, share it. The chamber shares 100,000 things from different people to help communicate. It's in place. The problem is the structure of the website. And even if we say, okay, we have $25,000 business incentive, what are our stipulations? What are the
just, I want $5,000, I want $10,000, do they have to pay for it first, will we give it to them up front? Like, we need to sit down, or somebody, whoever is responsible in the full-time paid salary role, sit down and say, this is how we intend to use the incentives, this is what we can do with this is what we can do with the facade, and then communicate it out. Because sometimes you push information out, and someone's like, I'm ready to do it, and then you're like, oh, we don't really know what to do next, right? Like, you can't push it out before it's in plan. So maybe there's some plan. And I don't disagree with you, sir. It's just also, you know, it's not my job to knock every door, but it is my job to ask questions, even if the meeting is a little bit long, because when I ask the questions and puts it on record, somebody else hears it and someone else asks questions. And when you all start talking, that's when more people start moving, right? So that's my personal opinion. Thank you.
I think one thing that we should start thinking about at the EDC board is that, just looking at like the city of Dayton and the Woodlands, they all have a Facebook page for their EDC, and that's something that we can do immediately, and that's something that we can, I mean, that's one of the best ways to get communication out there.
If you look at the airport's Facebook page, we've implemented in 15, 17 days, it works.
I did a very temporary thing around the city, and I got feedback because I was documenting where I was going showcasing parks and businesses and things online. It was a short-lived page, it was a project, but I would say I got feedback that I would get 3,000 views within a week. And it's not that people aren't looking, it's that we have not provided that communication tool or for it to be continuously updated. So if I can go walk around and take a picture of a business, and I have a full-time job, then someone whose full-time job it is, right, can also do the same thing. No disrespect, I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Okay, any more discussion?
Just an update on the airport, the land opportunities that the Central Sands project has been finalized. We have officially done and finalized the swap, so that is complete, which is great news for the city and the airport on that. Demolition and clearance, just real closely on that. We are working with our third party currently. We have identified some facilities in town that need to be demoed, and we are going through that process. It is a very long process. It's a challenging process, but you got to remember, it's somebody's private property that they currently own, and you're taking steps to demo somebody's property, no matter how bad that property may be. There's steps that you have to go through for us to legally be able to demo that. So we are going through the steps on several pieces of property at this point, working with Safebuild, who is our third party code enforcement inspectors, as well as our building officials as well. So we are taking those steps. And the idea is that the EDC funding for this would go towards businesses that would be demoed, and then the city's got money allocated for demolition as well, and those would go more towards your residential properties. And so there's properties that could be commercial or are commercial, and those are the funds that we would utilize. And you know, I think there's 35,000 in the budget. I can't remember exactly what the number is, but that may go towards one commercial demolition, and the likelihood we're going to get that money back is slim to none. You know, most likely we won't get that money back from whoever the property owner is, and so there'd be a lien put on their piece of property, and once they sell it, then we would possibly get that, but then that may hinder the sale, and we may have to forgive that lien so we can get that property sold, so somebody will put a business on that, and that's all down the road as well. So, but we are in that process. We are working on it. But it is a long process. So, and then the old fire station, really, we've already kind of talked about that pavilion. That we really do need to make some do some additional work on that. We need to allocate some additional funding. Maybe that's something that Roger can work on, is getting maybe a landscaping plan or something. But I think we do need. It is the pavilion will have a slab that'll come with it. But we do need to get tables, trash cans. I think the Rotary's doing tables and benches. So with trash cans and then landscaping, we need to make this a nice looking facility downtown so people are going to want to enjoy it and utilize it. And to show that we're reinvesting into our downtown.
Can I make a suggestion on the pavilion? Can we get a sidewalk
going to the sidewalk, so you're not having to walk through grass or plants. Because you're gonna walk through it, you're gonna try, say it's a little wet outside, and you decide you're gonna walk up there, shoes are dirty now. Just something to think about. Yeah. Just something to think about when trying to access it in and out. Also, somebody in a wheelchair wants to get to it. So, just an idea.
While you're up there, I know.
We have a rendering of kind of what you want. I think usually when they do the parks or they do a pavilion, they'll have at least a rendering of what they want the outcome to look like. I'm just curious if we have anything like that.
No, we didn't get any of that kind of stuff from them.
It's kind of.
But we
structure. We got the rendering of the structure, yeah.
Well, I would think we need something of what we really want to put outside there, so that way we know what we're doing instead of just kind of.
Can we get someone to do it?
Together.
Well, if you can, I'm hoping that maybe we can get some kind of vendor that may be able to do that for us. I mean, if you want to hire a landscape architect, they'll do a rendering, but you're not paying money.
That's what Roger's for.
I don't think Roger. But I think if we work with a landscape company that can provide those services, they probably have the capability to come up with some kind of rendering that we can work with. And Brent may even have some idea of who we can work with local, that we can utilize and touch base with. And so, maybe Roger and Brent and I we can work together to maybe to do that. It's true there's somebody local in this area that we can pull from. It's a landscaper that we can hire to do that, because and provide some kind of conceptual and bring that to y'all for some funding requests. And then finally, the pavilion at the airport. This was added on there because this has been discussed a couple of times. It's one of these things that is not an official project of the EDC yet because it has not been approved project. If this is something that EDC does want to proceed with, then that's something that we can get some direction from y'all, and we can work with. I think we need to be working with the EDC board. We need to work with the airport board, of course, the council, to make this all happen. But if we can get that direction, then maybe we can start working with a company to decide, okay, give us a rendering of what you can provide in this area. I think we need to have, example going back to like Councilman Buckley was saying, you got to look at all pieces again. Just like we're talking about landscaping, I think we need to look at the whole picture. We need a pavilion. There's been mention of maybe a playground out there. There's been mention of, we need to have a chain link fence that kind of secures that observation area so that we provide that protection. So the kids are there and they're running free while the parents are watching the planes and they're playing on the playground, but they don't run out and get in the taxiway or get out into the airway, the runways and so forth. So, but looking at all that, we're going to have sidewalks, because we're going to have sidewalks from the actual FBO out to the pavilion and to the playground and to have those out there. A perfect example of what can be done with this is not only people going out there with their families to observe, but this weekend on Sunday we had a Girl Scout troop go out to the airport and visit the airport. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to continue to increase as we continue to promote it and having a nice facility out there. This morning they had a pancake breakfast that they did. So that would be a great location where they could have people come in, people fly in to participate, and then have people that have hangers out there. And even the community, trying to encourage the community in the future to be able to participate in some of these flying activities and these activities that they have at the airport, to really make the airport part of our community. It is a jewel that we have. It's something we definitely need to be promoting and pushing. So with that, I'll turn it over to the airport board president to talk more about the pavilion up there.
Is this line item specific to approval or potential approval for money to move forward for the structure itself, not all of the landscaping? We're talking about the structure that's built as a pavilion.
You're correct. That's all for right now. That's what we were, because we can't, reality is we can't do it all at one time.
Right.
We don't have the funds, city doesn't have the funds. But yes, the pavilion though, instead of, and our ideas with the city and the airport board, as y'all all know, I'm the president of the airport board. is to have something also that we can utilize, like you said, for other functions other than just an observation area. Maybe a wedding venue area. You know, there's people that come out there and want to get married out at the airport, believe it or not, and use it for something like that, or the fly-ins. We're going to get to a point, if y'all are not aware, the city took back over the airport at the first of this year, and Dickie is obviously the new airport manager, director, and is doing a phenomenal job. Our fuel cells out there have, they're going to double this year in January compared to what they were last year. I think on the 16th, we'd already surpassed fuel cells for the entire month of January of last year, even with our bad weather of this year. And so it's an exciting time at the airport, it really is. But we don't have an observation area. We've already approved the area for this pavilion, for the observation area. We approved it with the airport, city council's already approved it. Now we're at a point, and I know that the EDC, however many months ago that was, I forget, and said that they are all behind, let's go and get the pavilion done. We had to get that done first in the airport board, and we had to get the city council to approve it. All of that's done. So yes, in short, Rachel's correct. All we need now is just to go ahead and approve it with EDC, and then obviously we have to get numbers together after we approve it, and then it's going to come back to EDC again, the normal process. So really, I think Mr. Councilman Terrell mentioned that in his opening, was we would like to at least get the pavilion approved, and at least where we can go forward with that. I feel like when it comes to the airport, I probably need to abstain from any voting, just obvious reasons. So I probably need to abstain from it, but I can sure answer any questions.
So this is a new project because the original pavilion is still on the old fire lot, and that's fine. So my question is, with the project, we'd have to find money for it. Which of these line items, before we approve of the dollar amount up to this XYZ amount of money, where can we pull it from?
Well, you can't approve a dollar amount at this point. That would have to be through a public hearing and that whole budget process.
Okay.
You have to have a public hearing with EDC, you have to have a public hearing.
Now under D,
but if you can give us direction, then we can.
Would a public hearing be necessary as it wouldn't fall under D?
Expansion
and improvements of the airport.
Okay, and I'm sorry, because I think I was going back to the public comments where Fred had mentioned something about like a guideline of the $20,000 structure versus the 40 or 80,000, right? That we would put some sort of stipulation on it. Before we offer 20, 40, 50, 80, where do we get the money from? Which line can we do it from? Because it's not currently budgeted.
Well, they have to come out of your reserves. So you
Okay,
got about
so
$2 million
general fund
in reserves.
Okay. Like we did the skate park, the same place. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, no, that skate park came out of unallocated fund. So you had.
We'd be dipping into.
So you have unallocated funds. So you've got $800,000 coming in from sales tax this year. You didn't budget all $800,000. So that money that you didn't budget on the $800,000 is where the skate park funds. You've got a reserve fund that currently has about $2 million in there that you could utilize as well.
The question I had is, how big of a pavilion are you looking to build up there?
Well, so probably, just about 30 by 40 probably.
Similar to the one going in the old.
No, what we want to do, because we want to be able to utilize it to be able to rent out for wedding pavilion and stuff like that, what we're thinking is just doing maybe 30 by 40, doing, I don't know if you're familiar with the FBO, the terminal building now is a 2-tier terminal building. Maybe just matching that to make it look a little prettier. I know it's not a little complex, but kind of matching that to make it look a little more upscale. Maybe putting wrapping your 4 columns in red brick that matches the brick on the terminal building. And obviously a concrete slab underneath it. So nothing just crazy extravagant.
Well, one of the other things you're looking at is you're going to want electricity out there, you're going to lighting. It's one thing they talk about doing events. And so maybe having concerts or different things out there, which means you have to have the electricity capacity to be able to do that kind of
Well, the
stuff.
reason why I asked, look at trying to say we have X amount of dollars or open, kind of open, if he's gonna match the old fire station that, well, you got a budget number of what that will cost. If it's gonna be double that size, then you figure, okay, this is about where we're gonna be at funding wise. I'm just
Well,
kind of trying to get an idea of
Robin,
what
so-
you're looking at.
Well, so I think Brent is right. Originally, number D, letter D on there. I think Brent and I
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah, I think that it would fall under that category. We'd have to check, of course. The airport land opportunities expansion improvement, that public hearing's already had. So this would, in my eyes, fall into that category. Now, from the funds part of it, I mean, we haven't yet gotten any bids or anything like that, which, you know, I know when we were doing the pavilion, we got several bids came in and we approved it from there. Now we could say, hey, we need to look at building 30 by 40 and everything, let's get those numbers back. But thankfully, if we can fab and fit into D, we can roll the process along pretty quickly.
I gotta say something. This whole EDC board for years have used the term kick the can down the road.
We do not want to kick the can.
We are not going to kick it.
Here's why, that's why I'm hoping said, if you want to approve it, you can do it as a project with an allowance not to exceed whatever you want to put there, 30 or 50,000. Is that not possible, Scott?
Well, I think it goes back to, I think we need to get clarification if that would fall under the airport land opportunities. And I think it probably would.
They were saying
Think
if you
it
did,
would.
you don't have to do it as another
Correct.
public hearing. But even if you didn't, what's wrong with doing another public hearing?
You can, and that's,
Well, I think all we need to do for right now probably, is kind of Mr. Buckley's alluded to, let's get a price on it. But for now, if we can get a vote on it and just get it approved for EDC, pending.
I have a question.
Budget.
Does the airport board have a budget for airport improvements?
It does.
Okay, so is the EDC fully funding this or matching the airport? Because my understanding is the airport is the only revenue-making entity, right?
Correct.
So we're taking on the whole project from start of structure to landscaping to everything else, or we're saying we will partner with the airport board and we will contribute and not take on the full project? What is the vision of who's responsible fully financially?
So this specific, we have a lot of things at the airport. We need hangars, we have a lot of things out there that, the only thing we have that is not self-sufficient as of right this second is going to be this pavilion and an observation area that the city wants. They've been wanting an observation out there for quite some time. Right now, we have almost 100 people on the waiting list just for hangars. But we don't have all the money to do on the hangars. So currently, the money that we're fixing to have available after the audit is done, and Scott can correct me if I'm wrong, is that what we want to do is try to utilize that money to possibly build a hangar area, be able to utilize it to be able to get money coming back in off of it. So in this situation, yes, the EDC, this would be an EDC project. If we gave it to EDC and airport, we're going to come right back to EDC and go, hey, now we need EDC and airport to team up on a project for hangars, you know. So it's going to be the same amount of money.
And I'm not in disagreement as far as it being a nice thing. What I'm saying is sometimes once you start dipping into reserves, that's not a great fiscal habit to have, right? Dipping into reserves versus the budget that you're working with. But are we open-ended from start to finish once it's, pretty and matches? And you mentioned like brick and color and all this other. Are we looking at we are committing and not knowing like the $250,000 project when we also have a state park that needs some funding? Or are we looking at an $80,000 budget? And if we approve the pavilion now, we're like, well, you already approved the pavilion, so you have to now approve the next step and the next step and the next step. It's like, if we don't know how big of a bite it's going to be, like if we had this airport observation in Conroe, cost them $700,000, but it's this night. This one in Magnolia or something cost them $200,000. If we have some comparisons to look at and say this is what
all this is for the pavilion itself.
Right, but once we say we're going to get the pavilion, now we've spent money on the pavilion, and, you know, then we need a spot to put it, right? So you're gonna go back to like the train depot situation. Once you start funding a project, you're gonna want to finish funding a project within the city. And that's something that the city ran into, and when the train, which I know was the city council, when they started realizing the cost after the funding of the building was so steep, then they went back and they did something else with and sold off the.
Let me clarify it a different way. We don't have the money to go any further than the pavilion right now. So, right now, we gotta start somewhere. If we only start with just the pavilion, and we're done, period, then maybe next year, we can start looking at the playground, the stuff that goes with that pavilion. But just the observation area, just that pavilion is, we can't afford to do a playground and all that other stuff that goes along with that right now.
Oh, I 100% agree.
So right now, it would just be just the pavilion.
Right.
Hopefully, at the end of this year, the airport's gonna have some good money also. But it's got, like, the airport's got a lot of projects right now. So right now, we're only talking about the pavilion.
Right, I'm saying, like, once you start and you phase one, the anticipation.
There's one phase.
I know, it's the pavilion, but ultimately the vision. We're talking about EDC taking on funding the vision, right?
No. We are not talking about any, we're talking about a pavilion.
He's just talking about the EDC
no vision.
funding.
The pavilion.
The observation, the color, I know the structure itself, but we want a nice spot, maybe for wedding rentals or for girls'
That's
we
the
want a
pavilion.
nice spot, and it won't all happen in this budget, that's what I'm saying, but I'm just asking if we can get a potential of, by the end of this project, it will cost potentially this much money, so we don't run into something similar to where you start a project and you buy a structure, like a train depot, and then you realize the improvements to the land or whatever else, like you can't afford that in the budget because you have other projects also that you committed to. I'm just asking that we look at the financial, like you have the plan in place and then say, now here's phase one if we go ahead and approve the pavilion. Because approving the pavilion today versus next month for something that's going to be a multi-year thing is not that significant of a difference in time frame, but we're talking about just approving something to start a project that we don't have a price tag on.
Right.
So I'm just asking, can we see a potential price tag? Because then you have to go and shop around and say, got this quote and that.
Well, let me give some clarification. All you're asking EDC to do is just to provide pavilion, not gonna take care of everything else.
Well, yeah, and that's gonna be later on down the road. We don't have,
Right.
I mean,
Well, it goes back to like what Councilman Buckley said and Calder saying, I mean, if you did the pavilion, you're gonna want the sidewalk.
Exactly,
To
the
get
full
to the
project.
pavilion. Are you gonna wanna make sure you can chain link fence in place, because that's the same thing you're gonna get. You know, and that ought to be part of that pavilion.
well, you can keep going. I mean, you spent $250,000 if you wanna keep going, but, you know.
But what's the minimum that you have to have with the pavilion? You gotta have the sidewalk, you gotta have the fencing, and you gotta have the pavilion.
That's it, yeah, that's all you got.
I understand not taking the hand, this was the last comment I made, but we have seen the city start a project that ultimately, after the initial purchase was too expensive for them to continue and they had to scratch it, right? So before we spend money on a structure that should be set up, it's like, well, now we approved $40,000 for a pavilion. If we can't afford the things after the pavilion, then it's not the time to approve it tonight. And I'm not against the pavilion or the space. I'm saying we should have a better picture fiscally of what it would be over 3 years. It will cost us this much money over 3 years, over 2 years, in order to have everything. You wanted brick, you wanted the size, you wanted the fencing, whatever it is you want. I'm not saying no. I just think we shouldn't approve something when we don't know
So
what we're
tonight,
getting
all we
into.
were looking at approving tonight is approving the pavilion, tentative, based on how much it's gonna cost. That's all. That way we can at least get it started. And then we gotta come back to EDC for prices, and then go forward from there.
Yeah, so we're not like voting like, oh, we're gonna get the numbers and then the numbers come to us.
So how would we be delaying it, sorry?
No, you didn't.
So how would we really be delaying the project if we approve, let's go get some prices? It has to come back to us to vote on approval of that anyway.
If you give us a consensus, and this is the project you wanna look at, let's bring it
Yeah, there's
back.
no reason-
Then we-
no reason to go get prices.
Because I'm hesitant just to put a dollar amount on it, just pulling it out of the air. But I want to go forward with the project.
And so we can go, I mean, if y'all wanna move forward, then for the next month's meeting, we can bring back a pavilion concept with the sidewalk and the.
Because I don't think that's kicking the can down the road.
You have the plan instead of just approving a structure. and you can't afford the sidewalks after the fact, and you have muddy shoes. We need priorities, but we need to have the plan in place and then fund the priorities. And I'm not anti the board or the pavilion. I just don't think we have the proper
I think all we
plan in place to.
I think all we were doing here, Rachel, was just trying to get a consensus with the board. If y'all are gonna be against it, then there's no reason to waste everybody's time. If you're gonna be for it and you wanna move forward on it, then we'll have your numbers at the end of next
So
week.
does this require a motion, or can, yeah, I
No.
don't
Consensus on the.
Oh, there, okay, so I thought we were voting on.
Oh, no.
It just we're way too far.
We also heard and potentially fund within a limitation also.
I'd like to shed a little light on this. The EDC Corporation is a nonprofit organization. Right now, if you think of your own home and your check balance, EDC has got $2.25 million. You've got to reserve 25% in reserve. That's the state kind of asks you to do that. Say it's really for, if you get in trouble and you don't have an income, you don't get caught. So that leaves about $1.8 million that this board has to do things. Hangers, anything, besides anything. So taking $50,000 and putting it out there as a project is not going to bank it. Now, when you go back to the railroad depot, we bought it, and then we found out the architectural plans, and then to get it set, it's another $150,000. And we just didn't see the value of putting that kind of money because we didn't know what we're going to use it for. So that's why we abandoned the depot project.
And I don't think anybody here, I don't think by doing it this way, we're delaying it at all. We're all saying, I think we're all consensus that we're for it.
Right.
And we can, as soon as we get some numbers back, we vote,
We can move forward.
They get a budget, just get a budget of what it's gonna cost, and then we can move forward from that point there. I'm about it.
Yeah.
Now, my question is too, because used to, there's been a while since I've been out to the airport. Used to, you had to have an access code to get in, it was locked down, you couldn't get in from.
No, so currently that gate, right now is open from 8 to 6, Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday. It's open basically 8 to 6, Monday through Sunday. It's technically supposed to be closed in the evening. But the airport is also manned 7 days a week now also.
Okay, yeah, 'cause I know back in the 90s, if you went out there, if you didn't have a code, you couldn't get into the.
Now it's not like that.
So that's what I'm figuring. So if somebody from the city wanted to go out and check it out, they have access to go.
Oh, they do every day.
Has access now. But I think that's something that should be kind of put out, because I don't think the residents know that they have full access to the airport
That's
now.
kind of the whole point, is that that's why the city has been wanting an observation area out there. Because you have, Councilman David brings her kids out there to watch airplanes, and a lot of people do that. There's not an area that's dedicated for it. So right now, it's actually a little bit of a dangerous situation. Because people, you'll go over there and they'll be out on the ramp. If you haven't been to the airport in a while, please go out there. It's beautiful at night. The runway lights look gorgeous. But we have a very large general aviation airport. I fly an extreme amount, a lot. And we have one of the best and prettiest airports there is, I promise. And a lot of hangars, and a lot more people. But we definitely need a dedicated observation area. And that's what this started with, was just an observation area. To get an area to be able to utilize, citizens can come out, utilize, and watch airplanes. It's an all-time, it's a pastime. But then that turned into, what we're going to do, fly in, a wedding venue, a concert, putting some concerts on, stuff like that.
Special events, yeah.
Special events. So maybe we do need to do something a little bit more, a little nicer, than just
Well, I know they used to have the games out there, where they used to have everybody had planes come out, they'd set the parties, drop balloons, hit the targets.
And that was a very, I wasn't around then, but that was a very popular event back then. And the amount of people that generated, obviously you went out there. And the amount of participation and the people that came out and watched those events that's crazy, the numbers they got, even for back then.
Well, I know when I was in the chamber, we did our property, when we started building the property.
And we talked about,
that's what we had out there.
We talked about having an annual cockpit bowl at the airport,
Car shows.
Car shows.
With the plane show.
Yeah.
We'll bring some planes in and.
So we'd like to take possible action on this, we'd like to move forward with these plans.
Just providing direction, right? Get on, we gotta get some numbers behind the project.
We will have numbers on it next month, on that initial project, the pavilion, that observation area, with the fence and sidewalk, we'll have numbers on that next month. And then we're still gonna probably have to go out for bids on it, but we'll have some initial numbers on it.
Do we have a motion? Oh, okay, just.
What did you say?
Then we're moving forward.
Yes.
It's not sitting stagnant.
Yes, yeah, we'll have those numbers for sure.
All right. Next item, closed executive session. We don't have any items tonight on the closed executive session. Is
Make
there?
a motion to adjourn?
All right. First motion.
Before we do that, who's our acting EDC director?
Oh, no, I'm glad you said that, because I was gonna bring that up while Scott was standing up.
All right, come on
Scott,
back.
come on back.
Come on back.
I rescind that motion, because I'm glad Mike brought that up. So I have a question about a few things on that, is one, EDC director, and moving forward, ideas on an EDC director. I know that Brent and I talked about this the other day, but,
We have to be careful.
yes.
What we discuss here, it's not something we don't know.
It's not on the agenda.
Agenda, yes.
No, it's got to be on the agenda for
But,
discuss.
can you give us an idea?
But, yes, right now, if you were to, like, email Robert's email, there's it automatically comes into my folder. I'm receiving those emails, and then you would get a reply email saying that Robert, is no longer with the city, please contact Council or the city manager.
And that's something we can come and meet with you on, right?
Right, and so right now, I'm receiving those calls and I'm getting those emails and moving on that. That can't happen for long, but, we're doing that. We are evaluating the position right now. This position was created for Robert, and so we're looking at the picture and what the best moving forward would be, looking at the whole idea. And so we're evaluating this right now, and we will be making a decision moving forward. But at this point, I will be the contact person.
Can we put an agenda item on next month so this can be discussed in the executive session, just to kind of get an update on where that is
Okay.
and input from the board?
And it will be posted online?
The position?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Will it still be a split position? Or will it be so?
Right now it's a economic development director / assistant to the city manager.
I'm hoping that they consider probably, just an idea of doing away with that and doing maybe more of there's a developmental services position that's open. That would probably go in line a lot better with EDC director.
And that's something we're.
And we will have to put that on the next.
Correct.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
personnel issue.
Yeah, we can.
Well, that's something they're going to decide on.
Right, but it's not on the agenda.
Right.
We can't talk about that. Unfortunately.
But as we're sitting here wanting to build communication, I would just like for the board to just kind of be in, just let people updated.
Yeah.
And even input where it matters, stuff like that.
Communication.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Somebody got to sit here.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right, second by Ms. Howard. Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor? All right, thank you.